Over-generalizations take the humanity out of our interactions, our ideas, and our concepts of the world. What's up, guys? I hope you're doing great. What I'm bringing to you today is an idea to ponder on. It's something that many people do nowadays. It's something that I see all the time. And I believe it to be one of the largest issues facing our society. Generalizations. Putting a general label on something going on in your life or in the world. Now, you might ask why. Why is that a big deal? What do I mean generalizations? Okay. Well, let's just say that you might have experienced it at some point in your life before. I know I have. Someone saying that they have, let's say, anxiety or depression, right? These are two mental health generalizations. We can go to doctors, we can get diagnosed with it, or we can self-diagnose ourselves. Some cases are a lot worse than others. Some cases have been diagnosed a lot worse than others. That's what I'm talking about. That generalization. But it's in everything. It's in everything. If someone is racist, right? The awful being of being racist, they are making massive generalizations upon someone's skin color based on their experience, based on their concepts, based on whatever they've been through that's helped them have this kind of concept of the world, right? We can all agree there, those generalizations are terrible, right? But there's a lot of ways we see them nowadays, right? The white people jokes, the black people jokes, the whatever. These kind of generalizations that take the humanity out of people. Right? We're not looking at one another the same anymore. When I'm like, oh yeah, that's a black person, that's a white person. We're all the same fucking race. But we're all the same human. We're all the same being, right? We're all the same animal. Yeah, we all got our differences. That's part of being, a being, an individual. Thank God we got our differences. But, and this applies to everything. Oh, that's a bad dog. Was it a bad dog, or was it a dog that just was trained in a way that didn't necessarily suit your needs that you had? That's a bad piece of equipment. Well, is it bad to you, or was it actually made in a bad way? Is the company going through something? There's so many different ways to look at it. So when we look at making general statements, we forget about the transient nature of all things. And we become overly attached to one quality in a certain moment. We become overly attached to our own emotional reaction to something perhaps not being as perfect as it could be, or at the very least not being what we expected. What is an expectation? Well, it's an overly generalized way of being that we expect from some given situation or concept, whatever it may be. Right? If I expect my daughter to be the most disciplined, being there is at 3 years old, and I get mad at myself, or I get mad that she's not because she's 3 years old, that is silly, right? But if I didn't take the time to have that realization, where would I be? I wouldn't be as great of a father. I wouldn't be able to see past my own insecure mind. My own insecure mind that says, I have to have this standard, this discipline outside of myself if I think things are okay. I generalize. I take the humanity out of it. I don't say, well, she's 3, or she's growing, or she's developing, or da-da-da-da. It's like I have a certain expectation that isn't realistic in certain ways. Now, don't get me wrong. Having an expectation for somebody and a standard for somebody and hope and expecting them to get to it and helping them get there, that's a different conversation. What I'm talking about is the personal generalization that forgets about the experimentation and the experience process altogether that is humanity, that is the human living existence. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being overly attached to some sort of idea or concept coming from something that doesn't necessarily have to happen. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Because I know in many times in my life The times I have been most unhappy is when I had a certain expectation and it wasn't met. It wasn't met. And the pain process is going through it and saying, it's easy to fall into the victim part of it, right? Why me? But as you develop and you grow and you choose to take responsibility, you say, well, why did I expect it? Why did I expect this thing to happen when it's never guaranteed for something to happen? I became overly attached. Okay, wow, that's what it is. Let's look at it. Like, I've became overly attached to this certain reaction, this certain outcome from doing this certain task. We live in a society of quick fixes. We want something, when something's painful, we want to fix it here and now and immediate. We don't expect any sort of, we're losing the sight of the long-term progress, the long-term progressive mind that we need to have for any fruitful endeavor, because we have things so naturally easily nowadays. You see what I'm saying? When we have these generalizations, these ways, these expecting thoughts of the world that aren't necessarily positive or progressive or even natural in the way that it should be, we're doomed to have more issues than we should. Because there's a gestational period. It's the universal law. The law of gestational periods. Things take time. Everything has a different period of time before it will come into birth, will come to complete fruition. So, my friend, today ask yourself, are you overgeneralizing? Are some of the issues that you're facing because of your overgeneralized expectations of your physical reality, of the world, of yourself? Know that you are human. You're going to make mistakes. This is an experiential process that we go through. That means that we have to go and grow through it all. And in the process of entrepreneurship, for instance, you will go and go through it all. And whatever it is you need to go and grow through to be the individual that you want to be, to have and do the things that you want to do. And you have to be willing to accept that and go into it. You have to be willing to take those generalizations out of the picture that are harming you. Set a standard, set an expectation, and strive your fucking very best for it. But if you don't hit it, and you don't get the outcome that you're expecting, don't beat yourself up. Don't stoop down to a lower level of consciousness that only brings you down further. Or more particularly, and especially if you're just getting started with something, don't set the bar so dang high. You have to build that willpower. You have to build that effortful kind of energy that you must put into something new. The systems by which you use to create something new. They cannot be overgeneralized, because then you take the humanity out of whatever it is. Anyways, guys, I love you. It is New Year's Eve. I'm going to be putting this up today. I hope you enjoy this. Don't go ruin your fucking life tonight. Enjoy your life. Be all that you can be in this new year. It's up to us and only us to do that. Will you do it, or will you continue to avoid it? I love you. Let's go.